Okay, so good evening, everyone. We're going to get things started so that we have time to answer your questions and go through the slides that we have available for you today. Just a few things. You are joining Financial Aid and Billing with the Office of Student Aid as well as with the Office of the Bursar. Student Aid will talk to you a little bit first, and then we will turn that over to the Office of the Bursar. This is being recorded, and so if you didn't catch something or you need a refresher, we will post this video on Zoom, so it will be available to all of you, okay? So let us get started. If you want to answer or ask questions, then please feel free to type in the chat. We have staff who are available to help answer those questions. Most of what you are asking about will likely be covered, so here we go. Okay, so for financial aid part, this is the agenda for today. We have done a number of webinars on all of these topics, and so we're going to hit some of those main themes and those main topics, starting with our delegated access, the financial aid offer, how to fill those gaps, a little bit about what might hold up your aid from dispersing for the fall and or summer, if you're here for the summer, a little bit about satisfactory academic progress, and then we're going to turn that information over to the Office of the Bursar for some billing information for you. All right, so the Office of Student Aid does have a website that has almost everything that we're about to talk about today. These topics are out there. You can do a search and you can find them. And our website address is right there at the top, psu.edu/costs and aid, and that is what our page will look like when you get there. All right, delegated access. I'm certain that you've heard about delegated access as long as you've been listening to these webinars or talking with us. Delegated access is simply your student giving you permission to have a conversation with us. This is for the financial aid world, and this is a little bit what the students would see if they go into the Lion Path spot, which is lionpath.psu.edu. There is a My Information at the top, and then Delegated Access is the last on that list. On the right, you'll see some of those things that you can give access to. We, as financial aid, it's very helpful for us to have financial aid access, and we do use the holds and the to-do list quite a bit, so those are important for you to see or have access to. To set up that access, a student simply fills out a little bit of information and an email is sent to the delegate. And that email, you can open that and you'll get access to a temporary password, your login, and you will also set up what's called a PIN so that we will need that PIN in order to have that conversation to confirm you are you. There are tutorials available. There are also staff available if you do have questions on how this works. All right, so let's talk a little bit about understanding that financial aid offer. Again, we did an in-depth webinar, but this is a little bit about what the financial aid offer is, okay? So we sent out an email or a communication to all students with the instructions on where to find that financial aid offer. Okay, so that financial aid offer also in Lion Path, instead of the My Information, you'll click on the My Finances, and then you'll select financial aid. Financial aid is not automatically selected, so you will select that from the left-hand side. And then you can view, if you're in here for the fall of 2026, you'll view the 2027 aid year. If you are here for the summer, you'll view the 2026 aid year. And at this time, all financial aid offers should be available to you. So there are a number of boxes on that financial aid offer, and we're just going to focus here on this estimated payment to the university. And so this block of information, it adds up from the top block, your billable expenses. Then it will include any grants or scholarships that the student has received, and then it will also have an estimate of those loans. If a student has accepted those loans, they will show here. If a student has declined those loans, they will not be a part of this equation. But what you're really paying attention to is that payment to the university. And this is an estimate. It can change. And when you get your actual bill, that's where you'll see what is actually owed. All right, so the gap between what you've received and what that billable expenses are, excuse me. So scholarships. Unfortunately, all of the scholarships have been allocated for both the summer and the upcoming academic year. There are occasions where there might be a scholarship available mid-semester, but it is very unlikely at this point. Unfortunately, we also can't negotiate those aid offers. But if there are some circumstances that you'd like to discuss that may have changed some of your finances, then we are happy to have that conversation. And that would be a special circumstance review. But what you really want to do is you want to try and set up yourself for the future. And so reviewing those academic college websites, that's where your merit-based funding comes from. If you do well in those colleges, you have a greater chance of receiving a scholarship within your academic home. There are criteria that might need to be met, and you want to be prepared for what those things are so that when you apply, or you are reviewed for those scholarships, then you have a better chance of receiving those. Try networking with your instructors. Sometimes those are the people that are on those search committees for those scholarships. And if they know who you are, then maybe you have a better chance at something that might be available, or get to know what might be available from that college based on those conversations. There are other institutional scholarships, and there are also some units around campus that also have scholarships that are available to you. One of the big things that we like to tell our students and our families is about our external resources or our outside scholarships. So those scholarships are available all year round. And so continuing to search for those scholarships all through the semester really will be to your benefit. These are some search databases that we have available. We vetted, we know that they work well, and we had done a webinar to discuss how scholarships and how you can find scholarships through these resources that I do recommend that you review. There are local resources. If you haven't talked to your local clubs, your local clubs, a Rotary Club, talk to your local police department, your local fire department. Those also may have something that would be available. Look for an alumni chapter near you. See if they have any ideas on where you could find some funding to attend Penn State. There are also micro scholarships out there through a program called Raise Me, and that allows you to earn some monies during your high school careers. And then we also, if those databases get a little bit overwhelming, we also have a scholarship team or a social media team that puts out scholarships on our Instagram and our X accounts. Loans. So loans are something that a lot of our families need to use. If your student completed the FAFSA, or if you completed the FAFSA with them, the federal direct subsidized and or unsubsidized loans would have been offered. The Federal Direct Parent Plus loan, I'm happy to say, those applications for the fall are now available. That does require the FAFSA to be on file, but if you would like to complete an application, you can do so now. And then private education loan applications are also available, and those are from banks or credit unions of your choice. And here's just a little bit more about that subsidized, unsubsidized loan. You are, if you want to use that, you're required to sign a master promissory note and to complete loan entrance counseling. And both of those are and can be done at studentaid.gov. If you have accepted your loan offer and these aren't completed, they will show up on your to-do list. Students aren't required to use loans. They aren't required to accept those loans. If they're not accepted, they will eventually be removed from the record. If you have declined the loan, but later decide that you need to use those funds, they can be reinstated with the student contacting us, and we can put that back onto the record. And keep in mind that loans are a resource that does need to be repaid. And here's a little bit about the plus. Again, that application is available at studentaid.gov. As a parent, you would sign in with your FSA ID, not the student's, to apply for that resource. The Parent Plus loan also requires a master promissory note to be completed before the loan can disperse. You need to be the biological parent or the step parent who is on the FAFSA in order to qualify or use that plus loan for the student record. And again, it's a loan, so it does need to be repaid. There are some upcoming changes as a result of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and that will now limit the Parent Plus loan for new borrowers to a maximum of $20,000 per dependent student. Okay, and then there are new aggregate limits. So the maximum amount you can borrow from the Plus loan program is $65,000. We do have some resources available. It can be confusing, but we have some resources out there to help you. And these are some of those resources. All right, and then our last loan option here is the private education loan. And so that's from a bank or a credit union of your choice. I would look and recommend that you look at multiple lenders, see who can offer the better interest rates. We did a webinar with financial literacy that may be helpful in asking what or knowing what questions to ask of your lender. And again, those applications are available now. They typically are in the student's name, but the student will require a co-signer. And parents can use, or students can use, a combination of the Parent Plus loan, private loans, and then as well as the installment plan, which the Office of the Bursar will talk about here in a little while. All right, so for you that are Pennsylvania residents, there are Pennsylvania state grants, and if you have been offered, those will or should have shown up on your financial aid offer as an estimate. Once we get the actual amounts for the Pennsylvania state grant, we will update that information. Grants are free monies and they do not need to be repaid. They also do not need to be accepted in Lion Path. We will move those grants along the process for you. FIA, who is in charge of the Pennsylvania State Grant, they will send an email for students to enroll in the Grant Us program. It's their application to collect the students' information, and they will email all students if one has not yet been set up. And then here on the right is some information on how to contact the FIA staff. Okay, so just briefly, there are some things that would prevent your aid from dispersing and or being seen as a resource to pay that bill. And these are a couple of things that families and students sometimes will miss, okay? I said in the beginning that we do add some things to the to-do list. And so as a student view, you'll see that the to-do list on this particular example has 3 things that are needed to be done. And those 3 things, once we've clicked on that, will appear down below in that box. And so for this particular student, those 3 things are a high school transcript, entrance counseling, as well as a master promissory note. And you'll also see that they are initiated. If they're initiated, that means some action needs to be taken. Once they're completed, they will be removed from that to-do list. Verification is another one of those things that needs to be done in order for any of those resources to disperse. So verification is from the FAFSA, and it's a question or a clarification of information that you've put onto the FAFSA. Doesn't mean the information was wrong. It just means that they're clarifying the information. And so this particular account has 2 things that need to be done for the student, and that once those are completed, then they will be removed, and then your to-do list will be complete, and the aid will then process. Not all students are selected for verification, and so if you are anxious and look at the to-do list, there's nothing there, there's nothing that you need to provide to us. Okay. So this is a little bit about how you can keep the aid that is federal aid and keep it as you continue your studies at Penn State. All right, and so this is called satisfactory academic progress. And so students are expected to meet three particular things in order for them to continue using those federal resources. The grade point average is important in order for you to maintain that federal funding. The Department of Ed is also expecting that you will complete at least 67% of the courses that you have attempted. And so late dropping courses and or failing courses can have an impact on your ability to use federal aid for the future. Anytime that you are thinking of dropping or withdrawing from a semester, you should reach out to us to see what those impacts will be for your future semesters. And then that final one, no one is quite here yet, but this final one is we're expecting that you'll complete your degree within 150% of the length of your program. And there's an example. If you are at 120 credits for your degree, you can have up to 180 credits and still remain eligible for those federal funds. SAP communications are sent to the students, so we send a communication with what we're expecting, and then we would also send a communication if you were close or have lost your ability to use that federal funding. We are required to do that, and we also want you to reach out to us if you have questions on why you've received those messages. Okay, so the satisfactory academic progress for Pennsylvania residents, so FIA does have their own policy, and their policy says that in order to keep using the Pennsylvania State Grant, you need to have completed at least 24 credits if you've received the full-time grant, and then 12 credits at the end of the year if you have received the half-time grant. These are their rules, and they can walk you through how that works, and or if you have questions, then they can definitely answer about their policies. All right, and finally, you'll be happy to know that we do communicate, and we communicate with the students typically via email. So all of the important information that we send out, we do send out to the Penn State email account. And this is sort of a representation and showing you what and where you can find those communications. So an email will go to the Penn State account, but we also house that information in LionPath under that communications and that details link. So if you can't find it in your email any longer, it will remain on here as you go through Penn State and the process. All right, just a quick summary from me. Again, all of this was in other webinars. I do recommend that you review those. Delegated access is needed anytime you want someone else to contact us on your behalf. Loans need to be accepted in LionPath. If they are not accepted, they won't move along the process and won't be a credit for that bill. The PLUS loan is an exception in that it does not need to be accepted. We will process that loan without the acceptance, but we do need a master promissory note for all of those federal resources. Dropping, failing, or withdrawing from a semester can impact your eligibility or your satisfactory academic progress for receiving additional federal funds. And then keep a close eye on your LionPath account and your email, because that is where we will send those messages for you. All right. If you do have any questions, we have an enrollment services center that has staff that would be happy to answer any of the questions that you have regarding financial aid. You can find them and their contact information on our website under that email address. All right, so that's it for my part. Thank you for staying tuned. I am going to stop my screen share and I am going to turn the information over to the office of the Bursar, and Sandra is going to present some information along with her colleagues. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kelly. Can you please confirm that you can see my slide? I see some thumbs up.
Yes, Sandra, we can.
Thank you, everybody. All right, lots of thumbs up. Thank you for spending time with us this evening. My name is Sandra Gonzalez. I work in the office of the Bursar, and me and my colleagues want to share important information with you on billing payment options. But all the information that we will be sharing is, of course, available on our website. So you are always welcome to spend some time on your own and go through this information. I know you're receiving a lot of information at once. Well, you might be asking, what is the Office of the Bursar? Our office oversees everything related to the student account in terms of billing, um, including the assessment of tuition, mandatory fees, collection of payment, financial aid posting, and refunds to the student account. For today's presentation, we'll be covering authorized user access, billing information, payment options, refunds, and external awards or scholarships. And I also want to mention that in our website, we have some very helpful instructional videos that you can check out. We have a section specifically for new students, and that was just my plug for the videos and for visiting our website. So authorized user access, as Kelly was mentioning, she talked about delegated um, access. Authorized user access is separate, and that is for us to be able to discuss the student account details, balance. Federal regulations only allow us to speak with the student, who is the owner of the student record and the student account, and with any individuals that the student has granted access to the account. So once that access is set up, we can, the authorized user can view the student account activity and balance, can make payments, can enroll in a payment plan, and very important, they can call our office, email us, and we will be able to discuss details of the student account. So very important. There are two options to add an authorized user to a student account. So the first is that the student adds the authorized user via LionPad, and I will be showing really quick how that is done. Then the authorized user will receive an email with instructions to complete the registration and create their password. Then if you are somebody who is going to be helping a student manage their account and making payments, and the student hasn't granted you authorized user access, you can request it. There is a link that I will be sharing. It's on our online bill payment authorized user login page, and then the student receives an email that then will let him approve the access. So for students, Kelly was sharing the student home base. That's where everything is based for the student. It's really simple. There on My Finances, or under the quick links, there is a Manage My Account, Make a Payment. That's how they get to their uh, billing and payment portal. Once there is under the quick links, there is quickly there, authorized users, set up now, add an authorized user, and then they will just need to provide their first name, last name, and their relationship. And then the authorized user can create their account by adding their email and then getting getting set up. The other way is where the authorized user requests that access. This is the login, psu.myflywire.com/login, and everything is going to be shared, so you will have this information. It is also on our website. And then you just choose authorized user as a parent guardian, and this access is really limited for parents, family members, is not for employers or for any other sponsoring organization. Once you do that, you can create your account, and after that, there is an added step where the student will, you will have to indicate your relationship to the student ID, their day of birth, and then the student gets an email just to make sure that who is requesting access is authorized, and then that is set up. And once that is set up, you can always go back and log in at public.lionpad.psu.edu. There is a QR code that takes you directly to this page and just choose Authorized User. And now I'm going to be handing this over to my colleague, Brad.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to briefly go over the billing information. So students and any authorized users on a student account will receive an email when the tuition balance is ready to view or pay. For the fall semester, that notification will typically come out in early August. For the spring semester, that'll come out in early January, and summer semester, that'll come out in early May. Usually it's the first business day of those months, but it may vary. Our portal offers access to real-time student account updates. So as soon as the charges are posted, they will be available to view. And as soon as payment's made, it will also show on the student account. And students and authorized users can go in and self-generate and print student account statements at any time. So with the real-time account, you can go in and look and print a statement anytime you want. Go to the next slide, please. So due dates for the fall semester, the due date will be August 31st. Typically, our bills are due on the 22nd of every month. The beginning of the fall semester is typically the one exception to that due to the add drop deadline. But so for summer semester, you see the due date's May 22nd, and for spring, the due date's January 22nd. Our due dates are all posted on our website at bursar.psu.edu, so you can always see the due dates out there. And also, you will be able to see the due dates in the billing and payment portal. Next page. So what all is billed to the student account? So obviously on your student account, you're going to have the tuition billed on there, which you can go see tuition rates out at tuition.psu.edu. Also mandatory fees. If you're living on campus, housing and dining plans will be on there. And there may be some other fees such as add drop fees, course class fees, etc. And if you scan that QR code on the right there, it will take you to the tuition cost estimator tool, which is a good way to see about how much everything will end up costing you. Go ahead to the next slide. So this is the landing page when the student goes in through the My Finances, the make a payment or manage my account, make a payment. It'll bring them to this account summary page. So you can see here on the account summary, there's a lot of things that we kind of are pointing out here. So from this page, you can see the amount that's due. You can see the date that it's due by. If you have any anticipated aid, it will show up on the balance there. If you're enrolled in a payment plan, it'll take that out. And that's where you can make a payment from. And as Sandra mentioned earlier, you can also set up authorized users using via the quick link. There's also multiple tabs. You can go to the account activity tab, the payment plans tab to see any payment plan offers and enroll in a plan. And also the eRefunds tab to enroll in eRefund or see the status of any eRefunds. Also up top there by that little exclamation point in orange, that will display any financial holds that this may be on the student account. So if you have that up there, that is good to click on and see what holds are on the account, so you can get those resolved. And then we just have highlighted up at the top as well the billing due date. So one thing to note, that message up there, it shows you that if you go to the account activity tab and look at the charges, you can see the specific due date for each charge on the student account. That will let you know when each specific charge is due, as the charges may be due at different times depending on when they were assessed to the student account. So if you ever are unsure about when a specific charge is due, you can look at the account activity tab and you will be able to see that. Go ahead to the next slide, please. So this is an example of the account activity tab. So as you can see up top there, it is broken out by semester. So all the activity for each semester is in one single tab or in each individual tab. You can see the charges there, and as you can see the date the charge was posted as well as the due date for that charge. So in the example of these charges, they were all due for 8/31. You can also, down at the bottom, you can hit print term statement, and that will go ahead and print a bill for the fall term or whatever term you're on. You can also go up there in the top right, you can generate activity report, and that will allow you can select multiple semesters to generate a statement, and also you could select a date range to generate a statement for. Okay. And here is what one of the billing statements looks like when you do the print term statement. You can see it shows the charges, it shows the date, the term they're for, a description, and then the amount. It'll show the balance on the statement. If there's a balance from any other term, so if there was a balance set per se, for spring, it would also show that spring balance on there, or like a prior term, prior spring. And if you are already enrolled for a payment plan, it would have that included on there as well. And go ahead to the next slide. Here is a example of the activity report. So one thing you can see here is you can see that the payments and credits were also added here. So you can see that on this example, a student made a $20 payment. And you can see that this was generated for 2 terms. It was generated for fall and summer. So that's where in that term column, you can see which term that was applied to. So it can show you the different terms. Go ahead to the next slide, and I will pass it over to my colleague, Adam, who will talk about payment options.
All right. Thank you, Brad. And good evening, everybody. So I'm going to talk about the different payment options we have here at Penn State that aren't aid related. So quick summary, Penn State offers e-check payments, credit card payments, paper check payments, international payments through Flywire, our installment payment plan, as well as payments from 529 plans. So next slide, please. So our most common payment methods are the e-check, the credit card, and of course, paper checks. The e-check option is our online ACH payment that can only be done from a U.S. bank account. The big advantage of these are there are no fees associated with this payment method. And then the payment is posted immediately to the student account upon payment submission. The next option that's also online is our credit card payments. We do accept payments from Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or American Express. There is a service fee, currently 2.25%, that is assessed on all credit and debit card payments. And in a similar as to an e-check, these payments are also posted immediately to the student account when they're submitted. And then, of course, we do still take paper checks through the mail. These checks need to be made payable to Penn State. They have to include the student ID. And then these payments are all mailed, regardless of the student's campus, to our office at 103 Shields Building, 664 Curtin Road in University Park, Pennsylvania. The thing to remember with this is they're coming through the mail, so we do advise 7 to 10 days for these payments to be received and posted to the student account. And during our busier cycles like August or January, that time frame can be longer. Next slide, please. And then for our international students, Penn State has partnered with Flywire since 2012 to accept international payments, and they are the only option for sending payments internationally directly to Penn State. Penn State does not accept direct wires from international sources. Flywire is able to take payments from over 240 countries, and they have localized support for students and parents when making those payments. And they have a lot of different options that you're able to explore directly from their website. Next slide, please. All right. And then Penn State also offers a payment plan every semester. So during the fall and spring semesters, if you enroll in time, the payment plan covers 4 monthly installments. So for this upcoming fall, they are August, September, October, and November. And then next spring, they would be January, February, March, and April. And then we do offer a plan in the summer. It's just a little shorter just because of the less months we have to work with. But it's covered over May, June, and July. The payment plan offer is actually sent to any eligible student accounts, to both the students and any of their authorized users. Every semester we'll send that email as a reminder. If you wish to use the payment plan, you must enroll in it every semester. There is a $45 sign-up fee that's payable at the time of enrollment, but the payments themselves are due on their actual due dates. The enrollment can only be completed online by the student or any authorized users. And the only payment methods that can be used for the payment plan are e-check, credit card, or an international payment through Flywire. And Penn State does require the use of automatic payments for the e-check and credit card payment methods. Next slide, please. And then for the upcoming fall semester, if you wish to utilize the plan, you would want to enroll by August 31st. To have the plan spread over 4 months. And then your subsequent dates of payment would be September 22nd, October 22nd, November 22nd. If you wait and enroll after August 31st, but by September 22nd, your installment plan drops to 3 months. And then again, if you wait after September 22nd, but by October 22nd, it will drop to 2 months. After October 22nd, the payment plan closes and we don't allow any further enrollments. And then the spring semester operates in the same fashion, except that it switches to the other 4 months. Next slide, please. So this example here is the payment plan enrollment. This example is actually from summer, but if for both students and authorized users, the offers for the payment plan show up under the payment plans tab. And then you will just see the option there based upon at the time of enrollment. So if you're enrolling during the month of August, you will see a 4-month plan that will kind of break down how much the payments would be per month based upon the current student account balance. And you would just simply need to click the select plan button there on the plan, and you'll be able to enter your payment information and submit the $45 fee payment to start up the plan enrollment. Next slide, please. So once you're enrolled in the plan, the payment plan will also still show up under that same tab, but now you will see a summary of it. So you'll be able to track your progress. You'll be able to see what your next installment is and on what date. The payment plan will include any anticipated aid that is reflected on the student account when it calculates its payments. And the plan does periodically adjust throughout the semester to account for any balance changes. So that's if a new charge will come on, it will adjust the future installments, or if a new credit comes on or another aid source that wasn't originally accounted for, it will adjust the plan to going the other way. You're also able to kind of see those payments as a schedule as well. And then when the plan does rebalance, it does send a notification to remind you. And it also sends you a payment reminder in general. Next slide, please. So the fourth tab that Brad had mentioned earlier is the eRefunds tab. So eRefund direct deposit is the fastest, safest, and the recommended option for students to receive refunds from any source of excess funds. Students enroll in eRefund from Billing and Payment Portal in LinePath using only a U.S. bank account. Next slide, please. So once the students click that enrollment, they just simply need to enter their information, which predominantly is their routing and account numbers. And then also on our website, we do have a video on how to enroll in eRefund for students. If a student doesn't enroll in eRefund, refunds are sent via a paper check to their home address. And it's been our experience going through the U.S. mail, they take their good old time getting to where they need to go. And the students only have a limited amount of time to cash them. So we highly encourage them to sign up for the direct deposit. Next slide, please. So there's also an eRefund option that will show up to authorized users, but this is only for Parent Plus borrowers. So direct Parent Plus borrowers who are still also authorized users can elect to receive any refunds from excess Parent Plus loan funds as a direct deposit to them. Refunds from any other source are going to the student. So if you're not borrowing a Parent Plus loan, there's no need for you to sign up for eRefund if you're an authorized user. Next slide. And then last for me is 529 plans. So Penn State advice is you will need to work with your 529 plan provider to determine what steps you will need to take to request a distribution to Penn State. Every 529 plan is different, so the actual steps will vary. Many 529 plans do now offer a digital distribution option, which allows the funds to be sent electronically to Penn State. So when you are requesting withdrawal from your 529 account, you want to check with your plan manager to see if a digital distribution option is available. Unfortunately, though, most 529 plans are still stuck sending us checks in the mail. Similar to just a personal check payment, they do need to be made payable to Penn State. They do need to include the student ID number. They go to the same address as the regular personal payments for regardless of the student's campus. And with these, we do recommend you allow at least 2 weeks for the payment to be received and posted to the student account, as there is often a processing delay on the plan side before they even mail the payment to us. So I will now turn it over to my colleague Lucy, who will go more into the PA 529 plan and some other state plans.
Thank you, Adam. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lucy, and I will be talking about the 529 plans and also external awards or scholarship checks. So stay tuned for that information as well. So 529 plans continued. We do have 2 different types of Pennsylvania 529 plans. They're on your screen here. So the first one is the Guaranteed Savings Plan. It does come directly to us in the form of a wire transfer or a paper check. Penn State does work directly with the PA Treasury to get a roster of those individuals that are utilizing the Guaranteed Savings Plan from Pennsylvania's 529 plans. So we work with them directly. You just need to notify them that you're attending Penn State, and we will work on the roster submission and verification of your tuition and fees. The second under the Pennsylvania 529 plans is the investment plan. It also comes in the form of a paper check or ACH directly to us. One key difference of the investment plan is that you have to request a specific amount that you want transferred to Penn State. So you request the dollar amount that you wish to apply towards your balance. And keep in mind, this can take 2 to 3 weeks if a paper check is requested. So if you can do an ACH payment, we prefer that, but a paper check will take 2 to 3 weeks. So keep that in mind when you're requesting those funds. In addition to Pennsylvania 529, we do work with some other states on 529 plans. The first one I'm going to cover is Florida prepaid. The students must initiate the payment with the Florida Treasury. We do not work directly with the Florida Treasury on these. So if you are a student from Florida using Florida prepaid, you will need to initiate that payment. So log into your portal and make sure that you are requesting those funds to be sent to us. The other states that we work with 7 states on providing enrollment rosters to them. So those are the states you see listed here. Be sure that you do tell them that you are attending Penn State. Then we will work with them on the roster and the transmission of funds to us for those rosters. So that covers the 529 plans, and you can certainly reach out to our office if you have any specific questions about the way any of these work. So next slide, please. The next topic I'm going to cover is external awards or external scholarships. So these are the scholarships that are not issued through the Office of Student Aid. So these are from local entities that are helping fund you. Most of them have come in the form of a check or a scholarship letter notified to you, something that you've applied for outside of Penn State. So most of them come in the form of a paper check to us. If they're asking you, like, where do I send this check? The scholarship checks can be sent to our address here that's on the screen. It's 109 Shields Building. One key thing to note on the checks is they need to be made to Penn State. If they are made out to the student only, we cannot do anything with that check. If the check is made out to Penn State and the student must endorse the check before we can add it to your account. So if you are receiving a check and say that you have the check, it's been given to you, it's got your name on it and Penn State, go ahead and endorse that check and then send it to us. And then we will complete the other piece of the endorsement. One key thing to be sure to include anytime you're sending a payment to us is include your PSU ID. It helps us link the payment directly to the student's account and make sure we're selecting the right student. If your scholarship entity is mailing the check directly to us, be sure that you give them your PSU ID to include with that check. And if you can't fit it on the memo line or they don't have a way to add it to the check when they're making it out, feel free to include just a slip of paper that has your PSU ID in the envelope with the check. If for some reason you're arriving to campus and you have a check with you, you can certainly drop it off in the Shields building or on the first floor. You can, visit our one of our counters to submit that payment to us. And now that was all for scholarship checks. So I will turn it back over to my colleague, Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you for bearing with us. Just some quick final notes. Remember, the authorized user access is required for us to discuss the student account. Please, we cannot stress enough that the university communicates via Penn State email. That's our official mode of communication. So students should be on top of that email. And then our recommendation to enroll in eRefund with a U.S. bank account to receive any refunds that are due to you. And then just to initiate your payment, as soon as you receive your student account balance notification, that is sent to the student and to the authorized users on the student account. And then again, we have a page with new student information that you can access at any time and review. And we're always available to assist you. The next slide has contact information and just the different things that we presented today so that you know exactly where to go for your questions. And then I am going to invite Craig because he's going to help us moderate questions.
All right. Get my video turned on here, hopefully. Thanks, Sandra.
All right. So I do have some questions that I've collected from either the chat and or the pre-asked questions. So are you ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay. So I did have a question. What does it mean when your private lender says that Penn State needs to certify their loan?
Yeah, so that might mean that the process is just at the point where it's been approved by the lender, but that information takes some time to get sent and processed by Penn State, actually get put on the account. In a lot of cases, what it means is that the loan could be offered on the account, and the student just needs to log into LionPath to actually accept the loan at that point. So it's somewhere in that process. Really important for those private lenders, for the students to watch their email. As soon as it's offered, they're going to get a notification, and then they do need to go in and accept that loan. And once they do, there's a 10-day mandatory right of rescission period, 10 business days that it must sit before it can disperse. So it's really important, again, to watch that email so they can do that step as soon as possible.
One more for you, Craig. Can students work on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending upon whether they would have a federal work study award or not, there's always options to work regardless. Work study is a need-based aid source, so you may or may not have an award. If you don't, but you do show some need, basically what that means is your student aid index from the FAFSA is below your cost of attendance, then you can request to be considered for work study. But even if you don't have federal work study offered, we have what are called wage payroll. Basically the same thing, same pay. It's just a matter of who's actually paying the bill to the student. So if you want to work, always lots of opportunities. So go out to our HR site, PSU, or hr.psu.edu. And you can search either federal work study if you have that award or wage payroll. Keep in mind for the federal work study, you must accept your award before you can even submit an application for a job.
Thank you, Craig. I believe this one will go to Adam. And Adam, could you just, I know that you had it on the screen, but could you remind us when you need or should start to initiate those 529 plans?
So it's best to initiate them once you have the bill and you know how much you're going to have to owe Penn State minus any other aid sources or just whatever your costs are going to be. So that at the very beginning of August, once we send out the balance notifications, you'll have that idea. So you'll be able to request the funds from your 529.
And anyone can answer this, I think. What is the deadline for the fall bill?
That is going to be August 31st.
Thank you, Sandra. Always a good reminder. So I have a question here on what happens if I'm using the installment plan and I receive an additional payment that was made onto the account. What happens to the amount that's owed?
I'll take that. So I guess it depends upon what the payment is. If the payment was just a manual electronic payment, so an e-check or credit card or an international payment, it will just adjust the plan, or actually, I'm sorry, it will apply that payment towards the next installment. If it's a check payment or an external award or any type of aid source, it's just going to cause the plan to rebalance because those payments are made outside of the plan.
Thank you. All right, back to Craig here. So we had a question. So if I'm not living on campus, am I responsible for housing payments if it is included in my billable expenses on the financial aid offer?
Yeah, if you haven't signed a contract to live on campus, you shouldn't have any billable charges for food. So there's going to be obviously housing costs and food costs built into your cost of attendance because you might need to pay for housing costs outside of the university, but it wouldn't be a billable charge. So if you do have it showed as a billable charge, it could just be something that would need to be updated, or just make sure that you haven't actually signed an official contract for housing.
And then Craig as well, what aid is available for international students?
Yeah, unfortunately for international students, our aid options are pretty limited. You know, the FAFSA is our number one and the only thing that we use to determine aid eligibility. So for international students, really it comes down to your academic college. So whatever academic college you're in, make sure you visit their site. You can also access it through our website and find out what their options are. Some do have an application deadline, some don't. They should be able to give you some information about things that are available. But that's going to be your really only option for some aid sources. So definitely make sure you look into that.
For the Office of the Bursar, can you remind us where we would see what a family would owe to Penn State?
On the billing and payments portal, once the balance notification is issued, you can go to your billing and payment portal, and then everything will be listed there. If you are receiving any aid, if you had any outside scholarships that came in, that will be listed then, and then you will see your balance due.
And as a reminder, it is that billing notification or that billing statement that has the final and official amount that would be owed to the university. The financial aid offer is an estimate. All right, back to Craig here for a couple. Where would a student look for merit-based scholarships?
Yeah, any scholarships that we have that are only based on merit solely would come through the academic colleges. So again, reach out directly to their page or link it through what we have on our website, and that'll get you the information you need for your academic college.
And what or who do families talk to if they have questions about their military benefits?
Yeah, we have an Office of Veterans Affairs. That's who you want to speak to. They have a staff that'll handle all of those things. Their office is located in 201 Rittenhour. So if you're on campus, you can stop and visit there or just reach out to their website, and there's contact information on their page.
All right. So, Sandra, I'm sure you can handle this one. What ways are there to actually pay the bill? If you could just make that list and remind us how we could pay that installment or that payment.
Sure. The payment options at Penn State are e-check, credit card, and then we have international payments, and we have paper check or money orders. There is a question there, Kelly, for the fall 2026 bill. Can I make two partial payments from two separate 529 accounts? That's a good question. Somebody's answering it, but I thought it was relevant. So yes, you can
please.
make partial payments to the student account, and also you can enroll in the payment plan. That's the other payment option.
Thank you, Sandra. I didn't see the
Yes.
question.
They're coming fast and they're getting answered. All of
They
them.
are. Yes, we
Yes.
do appreciate all of the help behind
Yes,
the scenes
we
and the
do.
questions being asked. All right. So, Craig, is it too late to apply for any federal funding?
Absolutely not. So, the FAFSA opens in October last year, but you can actually file it up until the last day of classes for the academic year. So at any point, as long as you're before that, you can still get any federal aid sources you're eligible for. We do recommend you file it as soon as possible each year because we do have some university funds that are first come, first serve. So highly recommend each year students get used to just filing that FAFSA every year when you're at home for Christmas vacation, get it done, and then you're in good shape for the upcoming year.
And does that FAFSA it's filed every year? You said that correct?
Correct. Every year. That's correct. Yep.
All right. Thank you. All right. And Lucy, I know that this was part of your presentation, but can you remind us one more time while we have a few minutes where I would send a scholarship I received from my high school?
Yes.
To
Oh,
go
go ahead,
Lucy.
Sandra. You
No,
got
no,
it. To the Shields building, and that is 109
109 Shields Building.
109 Shields building. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. And that's 664 Curtin Road. University Park is the address, and we can pop the address. I will put it in the chat as well for you all.
Once those are received, how long does it take for them to be recorded onto the account?
So that's a great question. I should have added that to my presentation. Typically, obviously, it takes around 2 to 3 weeks for anything mailed to get to our office because once it does arrive in Penn State's mail, it takes time for campus mail to circulate. And we are posting those awards daily. So we are working on the scholarships daily, but you won't see them until your tuition bill is loaded. So while we're doing behind the scenes work so that when that tuition bill comes out, those scholarships will be on your account. And we are current up to date with our postings. So yeah. So as long as you're enrolled in classes, you should see that. If you sent your check, you should see that on your account when you get your tuition bill.
And what should you do if it's been sent for a while and it hasn't been recorded? But you're saying it won't be seen until the bill is out, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. So it will not be on there until the bill is out. If you don't see it, certainly my first recommendation is to reach out to the entity that sent it to us to see if the check has been cashed. If it has, then certainly reach out to our office. If you reach out to the entity that sent your scholarship to us and it has not been cashed, most likely it's either lost in the mail, unfortunately, or it's taking time to get circulated to our office. So if you don't see it on there, you reach out to the entity and they don't they say, oh, well, I mailed it to Penn State. Ask what the mail date was and kind of, do the math and see how long ago was it and if you think we would have received it yet or not. Because it does, like I said, it does take time once they do mail it. So if you mail it out the week before the payment deadline, chances are we will not get it in time to post to your bill.
Well, thank you. Thank you, panel. Thank you, everyone behind the scenes and everyone for joining us today. We are at the 6:30 mark, and so we'll finish up the questions we have in the chat, and then we will turn off our cameras and wish you a very wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for all the great questions.